Could y'all have a set agenda? I've got a quick little 5 or 10 minutes spill I'll give you about what I'm doing and who I am and how DOT is kind of being reorganized. And I'll do that first and then just turn it over back to you, if you're ready. First off, I am here to listen today, and I didn't realize blogger is an official title.
Hey, if Eric Erickson can be on the city council and go by the title blogger, I figure I can.
So, well, my name is Todd Long, and I'm in a new position within Georgia DOT. It has not existed before. It was created under a Senate bill that was signed last year, Senate Bill 200. It's called the Director of Planning. During the session last year, Senate Bill 200 was a rather large bill that was about 100 pages long. It started out as a kind of a total redo of everything concerning the board, everything that DOT does, and it eventually, through the sausage-making process, at the end of the session on April 3rd, what got signed was, instead of a 100-page bill, about a 10-page bill. And if you convert it to a Word document, it's really only about 9 or 10 pages long, so it's not real lengthy. And the bill created this position called Director of Planning that works within Georgia DOT. And through the process of creating the position, they also established the House Transportation Committee would actually do the confirmation of a governor appointee in that position. So the governor appoints the Director of Planning, and then the House Transportation Committee confirms that person. Well, when the position obviously sort of came open because on May 11th, the governor signed the bill, and then he had to appoint someone. Well, my background, if you don't know, I used to be with Georgia DOT. In the last year or so, I've worked for an organization called the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority. But prior to that, I worked at Georgia DOT, and I knew some of the folks in this room. In fact, Bob Alexander and I go way back. I was the Albany planner back in '92 through '94, so I used to come out here probably twice a month, the Albany area. So, but I've got a long history with GDOT, and anyway, I got a call from the governor's office asking me to consider the job, and the first answer was, I don't know, because I don't know how this bill's going to work out, but after studying a little bit and the thought of how you can make it work, it became something I was interested in, getting back to GDOT. And through a process of about 4 or 5 interviews, on June 18th, the governor appointed me in the position. And as a matter of fact, it happened to be the same day that Vance Smith was named by the DOT board earlier in the day as a new DOT commissioner. And Vance Smith is a former representative out of Pine Mountain, Georgia, up just south of LaGrange. And of course, he and I talked about it a good bit ahead of time and a good bit during the process. And he has been an absolute delight to work with. And the board, Floyd, to tell you that, I don't think that was a very hard decision to pick him for that position. And they all, I think all the board members were 100% in agreement with picking him. And he's done a great job. He's a very positive person. He's got the department going in a very good direction, which is awesome. He and I subsequently have met literally every single morning since we've been over there in Albany. And in fact, even this morning before I flew to Albany, I met with the commissioner at about 6:10 this morning for about 20 minutes. So we're working together well. After the appointment, the House Transportation Committee, which is chaired by South Georgia now, Vance Smith, who former representative, he was also the chair of the House Transportation Committee. And of course, when he decided to become, and the board voted him as commissioner, he had to give up that post. And they have named Jay Roberts the transportation chair. And Jay Roberts is out of Ocilla, Georgia, and so he's down here and knows Representative Riders very well, and as well as a lot of the issues down here. So you're represented very well. In fact, Jay Roberts named Representative Riders as the subcommittee chair for my condemnation process.
Y'all know me, he got all softball easy questions.
He looked at me and lowered his glasses and asked me his questions. But we went through the process of actually 2 different hearings. The first hearing lasted about 3.5 hours, and the next hearing lasted about 2.5 hours. So I had 6 hours of confirmation hearings. So not really unlike the Supreme Court nomination process. They actually did put a small table in the front of the House Transportation Committee has 36 members. I believe, if I'm not correct, is the largest committee in the House of Representatives. And all 36 of them sit up front, and they gave me a little black table with a tablecloth on top of it with a microphone in the middle. So it did appear and look just like the Supreme Court nomination process. But I was confirmed by unanimous vote, which I appreciate all the representatives, and they get asked a lot of good questions. And a lot of questions really kind of relate back to where we're going with transportation in Georgia, particularly rural versus the Atlanta area. So we'll talk about that in a minute. It is the first time in the history of Georgia that anyone has been confirmed by the House of Transportation, the House of Representatives. All the confirmations hearings that have occurred in the history of Georgia have always occurred on the Senate side. So this is the first time ever.
That was my friendly little amendment I added to that bill.
So the Senate really doesn't get to confirm me, but I've heard from several of them that they want to be part of that process. In fact, I thought it was very unkind of Representative Riders to ask me, the last question he asked me during the hearing process, he said, "Todd, do you think this is a good process?" And of course, my answer was, "Of course." He said, "Do you think it'd be good if the Senate Transportation Committee does this as well?" And of course, I say, "Of course, I'd love 6 more hours of torture." But it was not torture. They asked very good questions, and that's kind of what I want to target my comments about today. But let me give you kind of a snapshot of my job responsibilities. I do work for Georgia DOT. I do have a salary that's under GDOT's budget. However, I am appointed by and report to the governor. And so I do not report to Matt Smith on paper. We work together well, and this position would not and could not function at all if the Director of Planning and the Commissioner of Transportation did not get along and did not see eye to eye. I have 3 main duties, really. I have the duty of producing a statewide strategic transportation plan. The second duty is I have to produce the statewide transportation improvement program, which is the STIP. There's a lot of you are here familiar with the TIP document that the Albany, Doherty, Lee County area has to produce every year. That document becomes part of the overall state transportation improvement program, the STIP. And number 3 is I have to work with GDOT to make it all happen and make sure they can deliver what we got in the STIP. So those are kind of broad-reaching goals, and the department has always had a planning type director that did these type of activities. It just fell under the structure within GDOT. It fell under the commissioner. And Matt Fowler, he's not a new employee to DOT. He is in the Office of Planning. I inherited the division or Office of Planning staff. So Matt now just works for me. So it's kind of a unique situation. He does still work for the DOT, but he does work under my direction. And I've got about, I guess, is it 32 or 33 staff in the planning office that I inherited getting this position. But we get a lot of help, obviously, with planning, right? We get help from people like you, and we get help from other organizations that give us a lot of input, and which is very much appreciated. But those are my 3 main duties. In doing those duties, there are deadlines and time frames to produce certain documents that are laid out in Senate Bill 200. One of the key documents is we have to produce a statewide strategic plan by December 31st of this year. Well, that's a pretty big task, because to do a full statewide plan, you have to go through a lot of public involvement, and there's lots of requirements from the federal level that you got to fulfill. And we do a statewide plan every 5 years, and the last one Georgia DOT did was back in 2007. So what we're going to use this opportunity for, and by December 31st, is we're calling it a statewide plan, but really what it is we're making a business case for investment in transportation in Georgia. Why should we invest in transportation? And that's the document that I want to deliver to both the House and the Senate, to the governor, in the next few months. It's a document that shows, all right, folks, if we invest this amount of transportation, which we're investing today, this is what we're going to get over the next 20 to 30 years. If we increase that investment, this is what you get. If we increase it more, this is what you get. So it's just basically an ironclad document that says this is where we are in Georgia, and this is where we're headed. This is where we want to head. Our strategic direction in Georgia should be these type of activities. So this is not rocket science, but it is complicated in the sense that you got to merge what I would call competing Georgias. And what my job